thought it was 10
Scott
seconds.
Baio.
My obsession with Scott Baio.
Scott Baio.
Baio, isn't that right?
Baio.
Baio.
Yeah.
Do you know about this, Scott Baio?
Any thoughts about Scott Baio?
Hispanic Scott Baio.
Scott Baio, great to see you.
One-on-one with great Scott Baio.
I'm here with Scott Baio.
Thinking Scott Baio.
Chuck, Scott Baio.
Yeah.
Scott Baio.
Would you all welcome Scott Baio.
Actor and director Scott Baio.
Scott Baio. Under the Scott Baio law.
Scott Baio is with us today.
Scott Baio.
But they'll flip. It goes everywhere and hits you in the... Hey, I still like that opening. I think it's very cool. Welcome back, everybody. On X, on Spotify, on Rumble, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on everything, I guess. Hope you're all well. We just got back from Vegas, my wife and daughter and I. The Bailey Baio Angel Foundation received an award. So we stayed at the Bellagio for a couple of days. And it was, what a great hotel. Great hotel. The flights suck. Airlines, horrible. They've ruined air travel. They've ruined it. It's no fun. It's not exciting. It's not romantic. It's just, here's a bag of salt and shut up. And that's pretty much what flying is right now. Because and the airports are whatever, on and on and on and on. But they do have good tacos in Houston. At the Houston airport. Anyway, okay. So thanks for coming on, everybody. Tonight I'm really happy. I'm talking to a friend of ours, Adam Hunter. You know Adam, legendary comic. He's always on Gutfeld, and I think he's in Vegas. We missed him in Vegas by like a minute, I think. Not literally, but we were just there. But I was talking to my wife before we started the show, and I was, how long do we know Adam? We know him like 15 years. It's like, whoa. And the way we know him, and here's how I'll introduce him. My wife was pregnant with Bailey, and we had lost her twin, so she was on bed rest. And she was watching the show, and she got addicted to this show called Last Comic Standing. And Adam was on it. And she says, come on, you got to watch this guy. You got to watch this guy. And I'm like, I know who he is. And he's funny. And my wife was so pissed that he didn't win. And she like really pissed off. So after that, she was on, I think on Facebook, talking to a comedian. And it turned out to be Adam. So at our first, my 50th birthday golf tournament, I think Adam performed. He did it for nothing. He just came out. Then we became friends, and he's a great guy. So please, ladies and germs, welcome Adam Hunter.
What's going on, Scott? How are you?
What's up? How are you?
Good. It's so funny. A couple things. Yes, I'm in Vegas, and I've been here for 3 days. You're talking about airplane travel, right? That's what you're saying. So I'm in New York. I did Gutfeld last week, and I had the whole family with me. We went to Broadway. We saw Aladdin. It was great. And then I was going to fly back to LA with the family, and then they were on different flights because Gutfeld had my flight, and then they took a different flight, but I hooked it up with the same. Anyway, and then all of a sudden I'm in JFK, and it's snowing like an inch or 2 inches. So they took everyone on the plane, 5 hours, everyone off the plane, right? Then they're like, hey, your flights are canceled. But because it was weather, there's no vouchers, nothing. Find your own flight, right? So now there's like 4 hours of people waiting on different lines. People are yelling at us saying, this is all your fault, right? They don't work there. And I'm like, now the flight's supposed to be at 11 in the morning. Now I'm on standby for an 8 o'clock at night flight, 11 o'clock flight. I'm like, I have to get to Vegas. So I'm like, all right, just redirect me to Vegas. Just, you know what? Delta
You're leaving from LA?
No, from JFK.
No, New York. New York. Sorry, New York. Yeah, go ahead.
LA on
Continue.
Sunday.
Continue.
Right, and then get to Vegas, right? So and then drive to Vegas on Monday morning. I got a show Monday night. I'm gonna just go me directly to Vegas, right? Okay, no problem. So then I go put my bags. I have to get my. Oh, don't worry. The guy makes a phone call. Now I get into Vegas at 3 a.m, right? After getting on and off another 2 planes, and then I have no luggage. The luggage didn't come. So literally right now, I'm on this podcast, and the reason I was late because I was downstairs at the bell desk asking if my luggage had come. It's been 3 days, and of course, like an idiot, I put all my medication in the luggage, right? So I'm doing comedy in Vegas. I'm wearing a Las Vegas shirt that I bought at the gift shop the first night, right? So this is what I'm wearing on stage. I'm wearing like I'm shopping for Vegas shows at the Vegas gift shop, right? So that's why I was. So the reason I was late was I was literally downstairs at the bell desk. Going, did my luggage come? It's been 4 days and I have not had.
And your luggage still is not there.
It's not here. I'm waiting for them to call off my room.
What? So why don't you go buy like a Wayne Newton suit?
The opening act, my friend who's opening, my buddy Aldo, went to my house, and my wife was so angry, put a bunch of stuff in suitcases, and just so he drove me some stuff. So I have enough, but I normally I like to run before my shows, like do a 30-minute run, but I'm running in dress shoes, So now my feet are all blistered up. Like so, I wanted to go to the gym all day. I have blisters all over my feet. And then this is what I'm telling the crowd. They all think I'm exaggerating. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, I'm off. Yeah. So, and then when I get in, I got to do the Gutfeld jokes. So now I have like 3 hours to write for Gutfeld. I write for Gutfeld every day. I got to work on the monologue. So now I'm like, So now I'm averaging like 3. Normally I take Ambien to go to sleep those are checked. So it's like an hour. So I had no sleeping medication. I had no Adderall.
Hey, you know what? Listen, it could be the other way.
What?
You could have nothing to do.
I could have nothing to do. Yeah. But the way I met you is I got an email from your wife on Facebook saying,
right.
Hey, we were rooting for you on Last Comic Standing.
Right.
I thought it was a fake account. I'm like, yeah, right. Renee Baio, right? And then she's like, hey, me and Scott want to come see you at the Laugh Factory.
That's right.
So I tell the booker, I'm like, hey, the guy who ran the night, can Scott Baio come? Can I get him tickets? I don't really think it's Scott Baio, but if it is Scott Baio,
where was it? Where was it?
At the Laugh
Factory. Okay.
So my buddy, so we got you like half off tickets because we didn't think it was really you. And then you showed up, and I couldn't believe it. I was like blown, And then
come on, how excited were you?
I was so excited to meet you. I was. Are you kidding? That was the highlight of being on Last Comic Standing was like being on that show was a whole.
So I have to tell you, you mentioned Ambien.
Yes.
And I don't know how long ago it was, but I have a hard time sleeping. And I don't know when I used to sleep like a baby. I guess when I had to start doing grown-up shit, I had a hard time sleeping, children and stuff to do and wills and all that crap. That's grown-up stuff that I absolutely hate. I talked about this last week. So I went and got some Ambien. This is God almighty. I don't even know how long ago it was, 10, 12, 15 years ago. And my wife went to bed. My wife found me at 3 o'clock in the morning cooking eggs.
Yeah.
And then another time I was getting in my car to leave, and I have no recollection of any of it. So I immediately stopped.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
All the ice cream will be gone, and from the next day, I got a huge belly. Like I had a girlfriend one time who was like, "Sex was great last time." Like we had sex, so that was like, she was mad at me. You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff anymore. But anyway, I'm happy. How's your family and the little Violet? How's she doing?
She's amazing. Daughter is amazing. She's really smart. She's losing her teeth, and
nice.
And she's really smart because she knows that if she puts her tooth underneath the pillow, we're going to give her $5, right? So now she's taking it like the tooth is going on tour with her. So we go to like grandma's house, my aunt's house, and she knows she's gonna keep getting money. So she's just collecting money everywhere she goes by putting her tooth. Yeah.
They're not dumb. Kids are not dumb.
No.
Man, it's so let me ask you, is it harder than you thought? I know how old is she now? Seven.
I mean, everyone says it goes by like this. The years go by fast. The days go by
Days
slow.
are slow.
You know,
but is it harder than you thought raising a girl?
Not yet. Not yet, because she still has like this thing where like, oh, do you like I hate all boys, you know, there's none of that. And she's also not like, I mean, she's missing like all her teeth, you know, and but she thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. Like she's not like affected yet, which is great. You know,
is she dramatic? Is she dramatic?
Yes, she's very, very dramatic.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I would take Bailey to school, it always looked to me like the boys are complete imbeciles. Boys are walking into walls and closets, and girls get in groups, and it looks like they're plotting to kill all the boys. They're so much smarter than the boys that it's mind blowing. So you have how many pets do you? By the way, Adam in his backyard.
Yeah.
I don't know how many animals you have there now. You have rabbits.
14 pets. Because what happened was, it was during COVID. I was at the park with my daughter, and this little bunny was just running around. And it was obviously not like a wild bunny. It was like one of those rabbit bunnies, like white with black spots, you know. And it was like a day old. Someone just dumped it there. So I'm like, we got to take this. It's like on my foot, you know. And my wife used to have a bunny when she was younger. So we scoop it up. And then everyone's like, oh, you can't just, my wife's like, okay, you know, I know just what to do. She builds she gets like a $5,000 bunny, like hotel in the backyard.
Like a Gucci bunny hutch?
Like a chicken coop, right? And then it has half the backyard. So everyone's like, you can't just have one bunny. It has to have friends, right? So then we go to the rescue, and they're like, oh, they only come in pairs. We can't separate. So now we have 3, you know, and then people are like, oh, hey, my bunny's getting bullied. Would you take in our bunny? Next thing you know, we have 6 bunnies. Right. And then my wife went to go buy bunny food, and they were giving out like baby chickens, like little,
oh my God. Giving them out?
They were like $1. Wow. And it was eggs were like $30 an egg or something. So my wife's like, all right, we'll get 4 chickens, right? And then one of her classmates was like, hey, will you take our chickens for the summer, because we're moving for 2 years or something. So now we have 8 chickens. And then our neighbor, we live in a nice neighborhood, but like 2 doors down, like the Mexican cartel opened up some kind of a drug running brothel where sketchy people were just walking in and with rolls of dollar bill, like rolls of hundreds, and zombie land. So I'm not home a lot. So my wife's like, oh, we'll get a Great Pyrenees to protect us. And it was like this big.
You have a Great Pyrenees?
Yeah. Now it's 100.
It's basically, it's a white Saint Bernard.
It's 130 pounds, right?
Yeah, I know.
To like protect the bunnies, right? The bunnies and my wife. And then all it does is go in the backyard. And next thing I know, we see it running around with the chickens in his mouth and the bunny.
For real? It's eating the chickens?
It's playing with it, but we had to like, it's supposed to protect them, but it's letting them out and running around with them. So now we have to separate, keep everyone. It didn't kill the chicken. The chicken played dead, and then when it dropped it ran away. So and then we have another dog and 2 cats. It's a whole, and of course those people moved out. Like I told my wife they're gonna move out. You know,
good.
Getting
good. All right. So listen, I want to ask you some questions, if you don't mind, Adam.
Sure.
First of all, tell us what your dad did.
My dad, he managed Alice Cooper. He was Alice Kim and this guy Shep Gordon. He discovered a band. He got him signed to Frank Zappa's label. And then he was with them for like, you know, The School's Out and No More Mr. Nice Guy and all these like basically the first 10 years, I think.
Really?
He managed Alice. He also managed a group called Machine, and then I think he won Anne Murray in a card game. But like my dad has like crazy stories.
He won Anne Murray at a card game?
Yeah, he won the rights to like manage Anne Murray but like almost ruined her career. But he
Still
took Alice.
sings the song he always sings. Okay, go ahead.
But he
Just
took
trying to
Alice
think of-
from like literally. I mean, they couldn't get arrested. So basically, like he at the first show they did, that he used to have to like pay people to stay at the shows. That's how bad they were.
Wow.
And then one day they were playing like a farm, a concert, and there were all these chickens, and they thought chickens could fly, and they were behind the stage. They started throwing them out to the crowd, and then people started like tearing apart the chickens, the crowd people, like it was nuts. And then my dad got a call from Frank Zappa saying, "I got PETA on the line saying you guys are killing chickens." And my dad's like, oh, "I'm sorry, that won't happen again." And he's like, "Are you kidding? This is the only press you guys have gotten in the last. You guys better keep this up." So then they were like, "All right, well, let's up the ante." And he's got crazy stories. Like they used to have this snake that like traveled with them. They used to, take this like huge python with them, and they used to keep it in that. They used to keep it in like the bathtub at the hotel. And one day the snake got out, and they didn't want to tell like the hotel, "Hey, listen, there's a snake loose."
How old are you during this? Are you born yet?
This is before I was born. I wasn't born yet.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So the snake was missing, and they just left. And then like 2 weeks later, they're watching the Associated Press on the television or something, and this Charlie Pride, who was this country singer, he was taking a dump, and the snake came up through the toilet.
No way.
Yeah. And then
and it hit him on the ass?
No, it didn't bite him in the ass. I wish that would be the end of the story, but no, he just wrote a song about it called like Snakes Crawling.
That's good. That's old. That's old showbiz. Come on, that's like old Hollywood, old rock and roll. I love that kind of stuff. So, all right. So where are you from?
From New York.
Where?
Manhattan. I was born in Manhattan.
And when did you? And when? And you moved to Long Island. You a good student?
I was a really good student until the age of 13.
Is that 8th grade?
8th grade, middle school, 7th grade, 8th grade. I started getting a lot of trouble. My mom left when I was 3. I didn't know where she went. She went to a mental hospital. I haven't seen her since. And I think me and my stepmom didn't really get along, and I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. And then I got sent to boarding school in Maine for troubled kids called the Hyde School, which really like changed my life, kind of saved my life actually. But
were you wrestling then?
Yeah, that's when I started wrestling, and like loved wrestling. Really got into it. Ended up winning the New England Championship, the Class A, like 4 years in a row. Like it became my life. It became like everything that I was like. It's such a great sport.
And you, I know you coach a little bit. I don't know if you have time for it anymore.
Yeah, this is the first year I'm not coaching. I was coaching over at Paul Revere in Brentwood.
Oh, off Sunset.
Yeah,
that burned down.
It did. Yeah, that was crazy because I after the fires, I was like, "Hey, where are your wrestling shoes?" And the kid's like, "I lost them in the fires."
Yeah, that's the Palisades fire that burned that Paul Revere. I used to play basketball there a million years ago with Jerry Paris, the director of Happy Days, and his kids. So, Adam, when did you want to be an actor first, or were you funny as a kid?
I was always pretty funny, but as a kid, and I was always pretty funny in high school. I like made my friends laugh, but it was really when I was in college. I stopped wrestling in college. I got burned out. I had my school was really good as far as like discipline and like teaching you character and like. But I used to have my high school. I used to have to go out on like attitude trips in the woods and move rocks all day and go on like hikes and you couldn't talk to anybody. You couldn't lie, steal, cheat, drink, like have sex. Like it was a really, really hard school. So when I got to college, I was like, this is amazing. Freedom. I don't have to like every minute of my day isn't. And then I was cutting about 14 pounds a week, completely unhealthy, like to make a weight class. So I just stopped wrestling. And when I stopped wrestling, I had all this free time. And I'm like, I got to do something with my life. Because my school basically, it was all about like, if you're not doing something with your life, you're a failure. You got nothing. So I'm like, what do I do? So I used to prank call the local television show at Binghamton. I went to SUNY Binghamton. And I'm like, I was cutting weights. I was in on Thursdays, and people would try to have serious conversations. And I'd be like, yeah, Devane and my dick. And I'd hang up the phone. And me and my friends would laugh. I would prank. Then I'm like, I want my own talk show. That's what I'm going to be, a talk show host. So I go down and I pretend to learn the stuff. And they gave me a 3-hour show on Monday night called D's
Really?
Nuts. Yeah.
Wow.
So I had a bunch of guys on the wrestling team, and I had a couple friends, and I had a Budweiser model. But then everyone in the school starts calling in and making fun of me. Like everything that I was doing to everyone else, they're like, "Are you Vanilla Ice or Corey Haim?" Or like. So then what ended up happening was this girl was called in, and she's like, people are going to talk shit about me, and they can go right ahead. And this guy on set is a fat. So then they start having almost like a Jerry Springer thing, and all these people start calling in about this girl. So she came down to defend herself on the air. The whole school now is watching. They're like, and she ends up leaving and suing the school for $20 million, suing me for $20 million.
No kidding.
The other guy for $20 million. It ends up going to they canceled my show. They canceled all shows on the network. There were no more shows on Binghamton television after my first show. It went to the Supreme Court of Brooklyn, and then they threw it out.
Wait. You go to get a show when you get a show.
I get a show. Yeah.
You want to do a show, so you say, "Hi, I want to do a show. My name is Adam. I want to do a show."
Yeah.
And what was it on? What was it on?
It was on Binghamton Public Television. Binghamton Television, right? It was like, it wasn't really.
Oh, it's great. No, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, okay, so you do it, and this is not 3 hours.
They gave me a 3-hour Monday night.
3 hours on Monday night from when to when?
It started at 8 to 11. And it was called
Wow.
D's Nuts. It was called D's Nuts. And I was like, I'm going to do a monologue, and I have my friends with me. It was sort of like a real podcast before a podcast. And people are going to have, I'm going to be a talk show host. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a talk show host. And next thing I know, all these internal fights started going on between students. And I'm laughing. I'm kind of happy they're not making fun of me at this because they're making fun of this girl. But then she decides to come on the air. And then they really started making fun of her. And then she leaves. And then the other guy, the kid on the soccer team, came on drunk. It was chaos. So they canceled the show. And now I'm the most famous kid on college campus because everyone's like, that's the guy from D's Nuts. So I joined a fraternity because I'm like, I need friends because otherwise this is going to be my legacy at the school. But I hated it. I hated fraternity. It wasn't really that. It wasn't for me. It was too much, conformity. But I was trying to pick up this girl at breakfast, and she's like, "Hey, I'm giving auditions for the black dance repertoire, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, you have to be black to join?" And she's like, "No." So I go and I try out and I make the team, right? But I don't really have any dance experience, but I made the dance team. So then I realized I got to get out of pledging SAE fraternity by being on the black dance team, and then I actually won my freshman year most dedicated member of the black dance team. Because I went to because I got to not be, I didn't have to go pledging during that. So anyway, I didn't finish college. Lo and behold, I dropped out of college.
You were on the black dance team.
Yeah.
How many people were on the black dance team?
There was about 15 girls, 4 guys.
And how many were white?
None. I was the only white guy. In fact, during the big, we had Caribbean Fest, and I was the tourist. They made me the tourist in the dance because they were like, and it was a good dance because in the beginning no one wanted to dance with me, and then all of a sudden they all started following me. And then my friend ran for Greek God, which was a big deal, like fraternity Greek God, and we opened for him on Greek Gods. He was all happy. He had like a bunch of cool black dancers. So yeah. So then. Okay. So then I dropped out of college. I'm like, but that was the most fun I ever had. Like being a talk show host, I'm like, this is hilarious. What if this could be an actual job? So I ended up transferring to Hofstra, and I'm
what happened with did the Supreme Court throw it out?
Yeah. My dad was so mad. He's like, I sent you to college for 3 weeks, and you come home with a $20 million
lawsuit.
He goes, can't you just go to fucking class like everybody else? Like, just go to class. You don't have to. Yeah, but then he was reading the verdict, and then they had to watch. The crazy part, they had to watch this show, and it was the dirtiest show you've ever seen in your life. It was Binghamton had really smart but like crude kids, especially like in 1997. It was like they had some. It was really funny. Really, really funny, but they had to actually watch this, the Supreme Court of Brooklyn. So
that's kind of awesome. That's kind of cool. Hey, so all right, so
I was covered by the school insurance. So we weren't really the school. I was covered by the school insurance.
Oh, good.
So even if she would have won, Like I
Oh,
still
good.
would've,
Well, I don't know if they'd have been happy about that, but all right. Okay, so the show ends. You get you get thrown off the air and sued, and then you're out of college, and
Yeah.
then what? And then you start doing stand up.
I never graduated. I transferred to Hofstra, and I started doing. And I took an acting class at Lee
College is
Strasberg.
overrated.
At like Lee Strasberg. I went to Lee Strasberg, and I couldn't. I'm like, oh, I went to HB Studios and Lee Strasberg, and I had this other coach that Win Handman. I had really good acting coaches, and I'm like, but I couldn't sit still. I'm like, this is so boring. But I liked it, but I just was like, it's like 2 hours of sensory work. And
Oh yeah. How long did you go to Strasbourg for?
about a year.
Wow.
And
Okay, it's very boring. I didn't go. I didn't do any acting lessons, but I can imagine. Be the chair. You are the chair.
yeah,
Be the plant.
yeah.
Feel your inner emotions. Yeah.
Just drinking
Okay.
soda. Just
Yeah. Right. Okay.
drink
All right. So,
soda, right?
all right. Go, all right. Please continue.
So then I'm like, this is just, I'm not getting anywhere. Like, what if I actually like do something where I have more control of it? So I took a comedy course. I took a couple comedy courses in New York. I wanted to be a stand-up. I open up Backstage magazine. They're like, want to be a comedian? Take this course,
Oh my
So
God, that sounds like something out of a movie.
right. So I started taking these courses, and then there was like, all right, so I'm like, I got to figure out where to do comedy. And they had comedy everywhere, like in New York, but like I wasn't good enough to get on anywhere.
What year is this? What year is this?
This is like 98.
Okay. I was going to say 2000. Okay.
Maybe 99.
So in 98, who's big? Miller?
Chris Rock, like Bring the Pain.
In 98? Okay.
I think that
Okay.
was the big.
Okay. All right. Okay. So continue. Go on. So you take the magazine, you go take these classes.
And then they were all like, basically, you got to get on stage. You got to get on stage as much as possible. Get on stage. So then any place that would have me, I would do comedy. And there were these crazy people who I love. This guy, Danny Cohen and Jody Wasserman. And they ran these shows at a supermarket, a donut shop, and a laundromat in New York City, right?
Oh
so we would do comedy and people would be doing their laundry, and it was actually like, so like no one wanted to see comedy. It was one of those things people were trying to check out their food.
I know.
And if you hold up the line, it meant you were doing okay. Like if you can get people to stop. So I'm doing comedy in laundromats and supermarkets. And
are you telling jokes or are you making fun of people?
Some people are hilarious. Like one guy, Andrew Donnelly, he goes to the dryer and he goes, "Let me put this on. No career." So like. And there were great comics there. Like, I mean, Jim Gaffigan used to do it.
Really?
Dimitri Martin. And there were like some good, but literally you'd be on stage and you're like, I see panties, like people would be washing their panties. It was like one of those. And then I did a show with Marianne Grodin, who was Charles Grodin's daughter. And I'm pretty sure someone threw a donut at her at the Krispy Kreme donut shop, because they would give out donuts. They would give out donuts to and homeless people would show up to get the donuts. So sometimes you would have an audience of homeless people. So, and then it was one of those things where you have to bring everybody. Otherwise, I would do shows. You have to bring 10 friends, and you get to.
Oh my God! So somebody just said this. So the comedy at the laundromat was dry humor.
It was that's hilarious. Yeah. So then I ended up like MTV saw me. So basically, this girl liked me.
Wait, hang on. I love this stuff. So you're performing in laundromats and where else?
Laundromats, supermarkets, and donut
Supermarket.
shops.
Okay, so you're standing in an aisle.
Yeah.
And,
You're like right in front of the checkout.
I get the laundromat because people are kind of stationary. They're sitting waiting.
Yeah.
A supermarket, people are pushing carts and want to get the hell out. And you're telling
they're ringing up their food. No, it was they were ringing it up. So you were competing with the
cash.
Oh,
at the checkout?
At the checkout. Yeah. If you got people to look up and stop, then it was a good joke. You could tell it was a good joke. And then they had somebody's like, we have built-in hecklers, because you'd be in the middle of a joke and you'd hear clean up aisle 4, clean up aisle 4. So it was those were some. So then MTV did a series where they used to have a thing called True Life and I'm a Comic. And this girl liked me, and she kind of got me on the show. And I was the guy who had done comedy for a year and was at laundry. So they followed me to laundromats and followed me at supermarkets and followed me at donut shops. And then I would have to and then I was barking too, a thing called barking, which is there was a place called Hamburger Harry's on 45th and 7th, right? And this woman named Gladys, who I love Gladys, but she basically was like, hey, if you want to be a comic, we have a show here, but you have to give out flyers. So basically you have to give out flyers with you initialed and get people to come from the middle of Times Square.
Wow, man. This sounds fake.
No,
it sounds. No. I know it's not. It sounds like a cliche, Adam. Yeah. It really does. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It sounds like you hear stories about this and you go, "Oh, bullshit." No, it was freezing. It was like it was negative 20 degrees. People would only come in because they were so cold. They would and I was really good at getting tourists, because as soon as I'm on 45th and 7th, as soon as people look up, I'm like, oh, I got them. Like these I could get. And hey, got a comedy show. We got comics from MTV, Comedy Central, Showtime, and then they'd come, and then it was us. So they'd see the guy that gave them the flyer. It was nobody that we told them that was going to be there actually showed up, and then you get him, and it was me, and then Dave Rubin. Me and Dave, Dave Rubin, the Rubin Report. The Rubin Report, yes, of course.
So me and him were doing it together, and then Dave was like, "Listen, we're doing it for Gladys. She was making a lot of the money. I was up there. I was fucking freezing. Let's open up our own club." Basically, and it was Melissa Rouse from The Big Bang Theory. She was like our walker because she was super cute, but I didn't want to have her. So basically, I would get people in, and she'd walk them from the Midtown to the 8th Avenue, and or do the money. And then we opened up our own club at Joe Franklin's. Joe Franklin from New York.
So the king of trivia.
Yes, the
Joe Franklin.
The AM radio guy.
Joe Franklin had his own show.
Yeah.
Joe, and you know what? I watched it. And you were on the Joe Franklin show?
Well, I was on his show, but also it was his restaurant. He had a restaurant, and opening night, it was like Soupy Sales came down.
Oh,
and
wow.
And he did a spot, and then who else was on the show? It was Pat Cooper was on the show.
I love Pat Cooper.
He was hilarious. So then, that was about 3 years, and then I also had a job where I was working at the Culture Club downtown in New York. Which,
by the way, you don't even have to say you were on the Tonight Show. If you say you're on the Joe Franklin show, to me that's a bigger deal. I swear to God. If you guys don't know who Joe Franklin is, he was. I don't know how long he did this talk show for. Was it on public access?
I think he was the AM. I think it was an AM show.
He was on he was on television.
Oh yeah, he was. But he also had a radio show, right?
Oh, okay. But he was. He was the most unexcitable human being on the planet, and I watched him. And then I don't know. Do you remember Billy Crystal doing him on Saturday Night Live?
I don't.
Okay, continue on. What were you? I cut you.
I had that job. So basically, we were doing comedy shows every night of the week at Joe Franklin's at 3:00 on Sundays. I was the king of the barkers because I was able to get anybody into these clubs. I was a great barker. I wasn't a good comic, but I was good at convincing you to actually come to the comedy show. And then I had a job where they had this play that I was in at the Culture Club, and it was called Birdie's Bachelorette Party. And It was the same people that did Tony and Tina's Wedding. And you remember Tony and Tina's Wedding?
You go in and you're like in the middle of a play.
It's like a fake wedding. Like you go to a fake wedding, you're going to play. So they opened this thing up where I show up to this audition, and these two girls in the street. One of them was married to Stuttering John at the time, Suzanne, and this woman named Denise Farrell. And she's like, "Okay, there's an opening in our play, and you could be the shop boy. But could you give me a lap dance?" So I gave these women a lap dance on 34th and on their stoop. Right? They're like, "You're hired." Right? They hired me to be in this play. So my job at the Culture Club was to give lap dances to all these bachelorettes would come from Jersey and Long Island. And I had a pink headband and a cut off white t-shirt. I was ripped at the time. I was like 22, 23. And I was Woody the shot boy. That was my thing. And my job in the play was to give girls lap dances in the back for $5. And then walk around the culture club till 3:00 in the morning as a shot boy. And I was making so much money doing that. Like I was basically the male stripper in the play. Yeah. Cause I figured out that like girls would be like, hey,
Fantastic.
hey, will you give my friend a shot? It's her wedding. And this is when I realized that girls aren't great at math. Because I'd be like, listen, it's $5 for a shot. But I'll tell you what, if everyone here does a shot, hers is on me. Okay. So next thing I know, I sold 10 shots, and I would put the shot glass in my mouth and then put it in the girl's mouth, or I put it like by my crotch and the girl would lay down and they go, ah. So and then I had all these, like, I had like $1,000 of ones in my shoes and my crotch.
Really?
I had my jeans on, like, and I had glitter everywhere. So, but then I had to quit that job because it was too. I didn't feel like it was.
You weren't progressing.
I wasn't. Yeah, it was too much fun. Sometimes I've quit things in my life because they're too much fun, and not because they're bad. So anyway, I was managed by this comedy club at Stand Up New York, and the guy, my manager, never took my phone call. I'd call him. He would pick up the phone and then send me to voicemail. And then this super gay, flaming manager that was there was always hitting on me, and he'd be like, hey, if you want to get on stage, you got to grab my balls, or like just horrible things. So finally I invited a guy boxing. I'm like, all right, let's go boxing, right? So we go to New York.
Wait, who did you invite boxing? The gay manager?
The gay manager, because I was sick of him. Like, maybe if he's I can box, he'll stop hitting on me. This guy waited in the fucking dressing room for me to change. Like he fucking got me. Like he stood there. I'm like, I'm not changing in front of you, you psycho. I just ended up like walking home with all my clothes on. Like I was trying to get him to stop hitting on me and getting me tooing me. Like, so anyway, they had a contest, funniest comic in New York, right? And I ended up like making it to the finals. It was a rigged contest. Like I show up, my manager was having it at his club, Stand Up New York. So I show up and I'm in the finals somehow, and I like won and then they flew me out to LA, and I did my spot. My prize was a spot at the Improv. So I did a spot at the Improv.
Okay, wait. What was the material? Just like what was the gist of the material that you did to win this?
It was like just about my life, family, my mom leaving, about drugs. It was
okay.
My girlfriend. It was like just
okay. All right. So you fly out to LA, go to the Improv on Melrose in Hollywood.
It's funny because
Bud Friedman still there?
Bud Friedman was there, and it was funny because the hotel was on Santa Monica Boulevard and like La Cienega or something.
Yes. Wow.
So I
that's in the heart of it.
It's the heart of gay. It's everyone's gay. So I walk around. I'm like, man, the movies are full of shit. Like there's no hot chicks here. It was all like ripped dudes. Like I go to the gym and some guy's like, you want a manager? I'm like, dude, I'm in the steam room. Like this is not the right. So anyway, so I ended up going on at the Improv, and Anthony Clark from Yes Dear, he was a star of a show called Yes Dear.
Yeah.
He came up to me and he was like, you're really funny. I'm gonna hook you up with my manager, my agent, and you gotta stay out here. And then I was like, I done comedy in 9 years in New York. It was so freezing. I didn't want to do another winter barking. I couldn't feel my face.
What? So this is 2003?
2002, 2003.
Okay, go ahead.
And then I just and then I moved to LA like after about 8-9 years of comedy.
Where did you move to?
I moved to like my first place was on like Selma, like right behind the Laugh Factory.
That's by Greenblatt's.
Yeah, I got a place off Craigslist. Never even went there before I got it. I'm like, I'll take it. I show up, it has a Murphy bed, right? Like,
nice.
Like the bed goes into the closet.
Yeah.
I took out a loan, like because
I'm going to ask you. Wait. Where did you make enough money doing the shot thing to be able to get...
No. It was like I came out here with like a couple $1,000s in my pocket, thinking that I had enough money for 10 years with like 3,000. I got hit by a car when I was in 3rd grade, so I had a little money from that. But nothing. Nothing.
Hey, it's good money.
Yeah. So So I move out to
Easy
LA,
work. It's easy
and
work.
I quickly realized that like so like the day I get here, they're like, oh, we're having Last Comic Standing auditions, and like so the like you could the day I was here. So then I go down. So the first year I got Last Comic Standing, I get to like the finals of LA, and then they don't announce me, blah blah blah. And then the next year, or I auditioned for it, right? And this show, right? So this
Wait,
show,
you didn't wait. The Last Comics thing you didn't do the first year.
no. It was
So
like,
so that whole year going up to the second year, you're playing improv, Laugh Factory.
no, I'm playing nowhere. So I realized that like I had nowhere to really perform. Like I was not passed at any club. I think the Ha Ha was the only club I passed at. So I'm like, I'm not going to be any good at comedy.
And what does that
So,
mean? Past that?
like past, like you're past there, like you're like a regular there. Like, so
Like
you
they'll
get
they'll let you go up. The other
Yeah.
places didn't think you were funny enough to go up.
no. Plus,
Okay.
I didn't have any heat. You need like heat, and you need.
Okay, all right,
So-
okay.
So what I do is I realize like I need to find a spot where I could open up a club and or I can open up a room and get people to come to me. So I'm like, all right, well, where can I get kids that are people that are gonna, because in New York you have all the called foot traffic, people walking around Times Square. There's no foot traffic in Los Angeles, right?
All right.
Except for colleges. So I drive out to like UCLA and I find a bar and I tell the guy, hey, listen, I want to do comedy here.
Westwood. You went to Westwood.
Westwood, yeah, a place called the Westwood Brewing Company, right?
Right.
So I'm like, hey, listen, I want to do comedy here. I'll pack the place. I'll get a bunch of college kids, this and that. The guy's like, okay. So I go around UCLA and I make up fake tickets to this comedy club. And I'm like, hey, we got a comedy club. We're going to have Chris Rock. And everything I did in New York, I'm doing on UCLA. They threw me off campus immediately, right? So I'm selling tickets to a club that doesn't exist, right? There's no actual comedy club. I mean, there's a bar, right? But then I realized that like the sorority houses, there's a whole strip of sorority houses, right? And anyone can make an announcement at the sorority house. So you don't have to go to the school. So every Monday night they have like a dinner. So I walk in, I'm like, hey guys, at Brewco, we have a comedy show. You got to come. And it's me and Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn's helping me because he was on Road Rules at the time. Right. And I knew, and the girls all like Theo Vaughn, right? So me and Theo are walking around, me and Godfrey, and I get all these sorority girls to show up to this club, right? To the Westwood Brewing Company. And within like 4 months, I have the hottest club in LA because I realized if you get hot sorority girls, you'll get good comics. So before you know it, I have like Jim Gaffigan and Chelsea Handler and Dane Cook and the Wayans brothers and Nick Swartzen. And they're all performing at this little place that I opened up because it's like the whole UCLA is now coming to watch these comedy shows.
Nice.
Yeah. So that got me some, like, I was able to trade spots.
Got you some heat.
Like I'll throw you on this. Yeah. So except for so that my manager at the time is like, I got Gersh all wants to come see you. They're like, Gersh wants to come see you. This is it.
Who, Bob? Was it Bob?
I had the whole agency coming to see me. It was the night of the Friends finale. So I can't get a fucking person to come to this show. Like everyone in this college, I'm like, dude, you can't have them come the night of the Friends. No, it's the most watched television show. And this is before DVR or like TiVo. So now the only people in this little room are agents that are mad they're not watching the Friends finale. And me and like an ex-girlfriend who won't talk to me, right? Who I like didn't talk to. So I bombed so hard in front of like they didn't laugh. It went so bad. But I did have a threesome that night with two, so that helped. Sometimes like God throws you little things, you know. So I go back to next year for Last Comic Standing, right? So the next year I go for Last Comic Standing, and I make it.
Well, you're working out your act.
I'm working every night. I'm literally, but like it's one of those things where like I had gigs lined up in San Diego, right? I had like a San Diego gig, and I had enough money to get me there. But I'm like, I was selling t-shirts. I'm like, if I don't sell any t-shirts, I have no gas to get me home. Like I was sleeping on the side of the roads. I remember I was getting
crazy.
This is thrown out of clubs, being too dirty. It was like, I was getting, So ended up going on Last Comic Standing again, right? So I get to the finals. And they're like, you're going to Vegas, right? And I'm like, this is it. So I called my dad and like, I call my family and they record me and I'm like, this is it. Like a week later, they call me, hey, you're not on the show anymore. I'm like, but you told me I was on the show. And they're like, yeah, well, we pick 50 people, but we only keep 35 or 40. So, sorry, you're not on the show. Right. So that happened. And,
Well, you lost me. You were a finalist.
yeah. The year before you saw me. Yeah, that was a finalist, but they pick 50 people. They keep 40 or 45. And then 5 people that they send to the finals, they take off the show because managers have a say and producers have a say.
Oh, okay.
So just because you made it doesn't mean you actually made it.
I got you. Okay.
So now I'm like, like what? You go from like this to that. So then I was like, all right, I'm going to pitch a show. So I pitched a show to NBC where people are doing comedy in crazy spots, right? Because I'm like, I've done some of the funniest shows where like I did a comedy at a wedding where a guy attacked me, or I did a show at a, whatever. I did a show at a dry cleaner. I did a show at so I go to NBC and I get a meeting with them and they're like, hey, why don't you try out for Last Comic Standing? I'm like, well, because you keep putting me on the show and taking me off, right? They're like, well, listen, audition this year. You have a shot this year. So then they're like, Hollywood is filled. So I drive to Arizona to audition. I stay up all night. I drive out there. I get to the finals again, right? Yay, you made it. Blah, blah. Scott, am I kidding? Like 3 days before that, like they call me up, like, or a week after, like you're off the show again. The same thing happened. And like they did the exact same thing if they picked 50 people and I didn't make the cut of 48 or something. So then I ended up like, then they go to Vegas a couple days before Vegas. They're like, hey, you're back on the show. So this time I'm like, I got to have a plan. So I'm like, I'm going to be the villain. I'm going to be the villain of it because they're not picking me for me. They don't care about me. I don't have a good enough story for them. I'm going to be the biggest asshole. So I show up and I'm like, I'm the best comic in the world. Everyone here sucks. I'm like, I'll just play like a WWE character. I'm like, I'm the greatest. So then they get me right through. They're like, oh, this is going to be our villain. Right. So then, because it's a reality TV show. So then in the house, I'm like, fuck, now the whole country's going to hate me. So I just flipped it on them. So they would try to get me to be like, say things. And I would always revert back to how I worked at the Ronald McDonald House for kids who had cancer, or how my mother left when I was 3. Anything they asked me, I'm like, just give them things they can't edit. And then they still did that sometimes. Like there was a time they're like, you're all performing. And then they took a shot of me like losing you in these stories. Like anyway, the year that you saw me was finally I was back on that show.
Okay, so then after that, you just started doing more and more and more stuff, right? Just going doing gigs everywhere. And how right? I mean, that's just with the natural. And when did you meet your wife?
I met her. I had a podcast at a company called Levity. I had a UFC podcast. And then, and she used to work there. So I met her there. And then years later, we met again on like a dating app.
What year? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then tell me, how did you get, because you just keep going and doing stuff and growing and learning. There's the question I want to ask you. The very first time you did a stand-up routine.
Yeah.
On stage.
Yeah.
It wasn't for Gersh. It was just for what? It was at a club the very first time.
The very first time was basically at a comedy club. It was like
it was a legit club.
It was like our comedy class reunion, our comedy class graduation, where you got to do a stand-up set.
Okay, so how did you do? Did they laugh?
They laughed, but I wasn't good. I was like dumping beers on my head. I was doing it. I was like, I didn't really have any. My jokes weren't good, and I was trying to do I kind of wanted to be like Andrew Dice Clay. I was kind of doing like a poor man's Dice Clay. So yeah, it wasn't. All
right. And then how did you get to Gutfeld? How did that happen?
Well, what happened was I worked for the UFC for a while. The UFC hired me to roast fighters,
right?
Because I'm a big UFC fan, and I used to open for this guy named John Heffron, who he won Last Comic Standing, and he got tapped to host the MMA awards. And I wrote a bunch of sketches for him. So then, and I ended up meeting Dana White at a casino. We hit it off really well. Dana came to my show. And then Dana basically was like, how would you like to work for our company where you make these videos roasting fighters? But you can't tell anyone you work here. That was one of the things. He didn't say that, but that was the thing. So for 3 years, I worked for the UFC. And then a lot of my things went viral. And anyway, so the guy who books the UFC the guy who books Gutfeld is a big UFC fan. So he like knew about some of the stuff that I did there. So me and Jeff Dye did a show together at like, I was helping book this like marijuana comedy show where everyone's stoned and they're giving edibles to everyone. And it's like the only show you want to go up early. Normally you want to go up last, but the crowd's too high by after 20 minutes. So they ended up, Jeff Dye, I'm like, hey, how do you get on Gutfeld? And he basically gave me the booker's number and I sent him my stuff. And then and they hired me once. Yeah. So then
and then you just kept going and going and going, and they loved you, and you started writing for them.
Well, what happened was like they didn't know if I was going to be clean enough, really. So I would always have to like submit my jokes beforehand. Like I'd have to constantly like, hey, these are these are my talking points. This is what I'm saying. This is what because you get the topics that day. You get so I would just give them my liners that I planned on saying, and then after like a couple times, like, hey, do you want to work here? How would you like to work here? These jokes are great. So basically, I went from like we're worried he's too dirty to like giving him a job. And
it's
then,
I think it's awesome. I mean, I think it's so funny. People are commenting on watching this, and they're saying, we understand now why you need Ambien because you've got so much energy. I'm sitting here and I'm actually tired.
Sorry,
you're making me tired. I'm seriously, and you just said you can't sit down. You were in acting class and you can't sit there.
I can't.
What does you must drive your wife crazy then, right?
Crazy, crazy. Okay. Crazy. I also wake her up at like 2 a.m. What do you think of this joke? And if she laughs, then it's a good joke because she's so annoyed that I woke her up. Or like I woke her up in Vegas and I'm like the other night I was like, oh my God, there's police everywhere. A crime happened. What happened? I killed tonight. And she's like, oh, it's fucking so bad.
Poor woman. So I think one of my favorite stories you ever told me is when you did a cruise and you didn't realize that the second night it was the same people.
Oh, the same people. Yeah. That happens all the time. I mean, I got it.
So you had to have like there must have been death the second night, right?
Well, I figured that out. There was one night that was just going really bad, and this woman came in late to the show. She looked like she had like, the fake lips and this was years ago, and like the eyes, the whole thing. So she comes in, and I go, this woman looks like she could deep throat the Lakers, right? And so she walks in and out. She comes in and out, like she just walks in. So then at the end of the cruise, I'm trying to get booked again. So I'm going up to the cruise director and I'm walking up to him and I'm like, hey, I just want to say thank you for having me. And I could see her coming. And all of a sudden comes in and she goes, I cannot deep throat the Lakers. Like just yells at me. Like and the guy's like, what's going on? Like how did that was so out of context, But yeah, that was
all right.
I mean, I've had lots of rough nights.
I'm sure. There's a movie in here somewhere. But listen, I could do this for another couple hours with you. But here's what I want to do. I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions, and they're easy. Okay, you ready? Favorite movie?
Rocky 4.
The Russian?
The Russian is good. I actually met him. I've actually met Drago because he was hosting the MMA awards. Funny story. I met Dolph Lundgren. And he comes in and he has his own jokes and they weren't really that. So I gave him some really good jokes and he was all happy. And then I had to pick, my wife was coming in and her flight got delayed and the kid threw up on the plane. It was one of those things I had to go get the wife at the airport and the award's about to start. And I was trying to and all of a sudden I get like a phone call from the director. Dolph Lundgren's scared to go on. He needs you. And I'm like, or Dolph Lundgren needs you right now. I'm like, I never thought the guy from Rocky 4 would be like, but then he ended up hiring me for something.
Oh, no
else.
way.
He's a really nice.
Nice good. All right. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show?
All time. These are all time.
I mean, Married with Children.
Okay.
It was
okay. Favorite meal?
Probably ravioli.
Oh, good. All right, good. Favorite actor?
Favorite actor? Oh man, that's hard. Probably Edward Norton.
Interesting choice. I like
Yeah.
Edward Norton. I thought he was great in what was that movie where he was
American History X.
no, where he played
Primal Fear.
the Hustler magazine guy.
Oh,
The hell
yeah,
was
yeah,
that movie?
yeah, with Woody Harrelson.
With
Larry
Woody
Flint.
Harrelson. Yeah, he was so good in that. God dang. All right, favorite holiday.
Favorite holiday is my wife would disagree with me, but it's Valentine's Day. But she would say, then why are you never here? So like,
Wow. Okay, so is your house right now being turned upside down with Chris? I know you're Jewish, but your wife
yeah, with
is
your
not.
stuff, with all your stuff. Are you kidding? Like you
Jesus Christ.
decorated almost my entire house.
I wanted to get rid of it.
Dude, my wife was so mad. It's because I come in, you're in Florida, I come over. Next thing you know, I'm helping your wife move. I'm fucking scaling the walls. Like I almost died like 16 times. And then your wife's like, I would have got someone better, but there's no one here. I'm like,
Wait, let me put this in context for people. I was in Florida doing stuff here, and Renee, God love her, was moving out of the house, and we had a 2-story house, and there was an attic, and the attic must have been, I don't know, 2,000 square feet, and it was full of stuff. And Adam and my wife were up in the attic.
Dude, I'm sitting there. I got no harness, nothing. Your wife's yelling at me, and then people are coming to help and quitting within 4 minutes. People are coming and they're just leaving. Oh, they all suddenly get phone calls. They all have to leave, right? And then I'm doing the entire thing. She's yelling at you. I'm finding out all. I'm finding all your old. Oh, this was Scott's. This was his. This, and I got the Scott Baio bobbleheads, and then I got the Christian. So my wife, I come home with a bunch of shit. My wife's like, "We don't need all this. What are you doing?" I go, "Just." She's like, "I'm gonna come." She comes over in 5 minutes. Next thing you know, she has a U-Haul. She went from screaming at me. She's like, "Oh, we need this." Your wife can sell anything.
So what you should have done is taken it right to the Goodwill.
No, I loved it. Are you kidding? I loved it. I had the nicest couches and this and toys.
You did. I'm glad, and we love Violet and you guys, but my wife. I didn't pack one. I packed some stuff in my office. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. And my wife was mad at me. I don't blame her. But my wife, you didn't come to. Unfortunately, did you come to one of our ugly Christmas sweater parties?
Yeah, I've been there.
Were you at the one where she had 20 Christmas trees?
Yes, I was at that one, and then we have Christmas trees now because of you. We have a huge Santa Claus that sings and dances.
Oh God!
We have all this. We have like 4 different couches. We have this huge and all this stuff is great. Half the stuff isn't even. We got all these cabinets, all because of you. You have so much stuff, and then it was funny because you came up to me like, Adam, out of all the things that anyone's ever done for me, because you had these turtles, and I happen to know a comedian that had a turtle sanctuary, like my friend.
Okay.
So Dante, who's like the biggest liberal you ever met in your entire life. So right away, you're like, he's not going to eat them, is he? I'm like, he's not going to eat the turtles. Okay, I promise you.
Yeah.
And you guys connected, and it just goes to show you that like people on opposite sides if they're both great people, they're gonna get along.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's sending you videos of the turtles, and you're like, dude, you were so worried about these turtles, and now
I was devastated. So was my daughter. I didn't know what to do with them. I couldn't leave them. I knew people wouldn't give a shit about them. They would die.
And then they lived together. They were always together. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we finally set them, whatever, and they went different ways. Comedians got divorced. There was other turtles involved. The turtles would always end up in your neighbor's pool.
Yes. We had a wanderlust turtle. It was, but I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't want to. Bailey's wanted to bring them to Florida. I went, I don't know how to do that. They'll die. I would have done it, but it would have been too traumatic for that. And I had the turtles we had the turtles for a long time. I didn't want to, and so anyway, so I went to Dante's house in Hollywood, and we walked in the gate. It was like turtles everywhere. and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And he was great. He's a good guy. He sends me texts every once in a while, pictures of them. They're doing good. Yeah. So I really of all the things that you've done,
no.
since I met you, that was the best thing you've ever done.
Oh, it was no problem. I was happy to make it work. And then it was funny though, because your wife was in charge of the housing, the HOA. And I can't think of a worse person, because she'll get everything done, but she was like the Doge of the HOA. Where like she was finding out where they were skimming, who was getting paid that shouldn't have been paid, why all this stuff. She's
no bullshit.
No,
but anyway, all right, listen. I thank you for coming on. I love you, my friend. And please give my best to your wife and that beautiful little Violet. Bailey misses her. I was, there are moments in life. My 65th birthday party was in LA, and Bailey and Violet have a special relationship. But I think Bailey was at our house was Violet's first sleepover with Bailey, and it was great. But when at my party at our friend Johnny's house, you guys walked in, and I immediately grabbed Violet and I said, I'm going to take you to see Bailey. And she just, and Bailey saw her, and it was like a movie. They just, and I love stuff like that. I mean, and your daughter's
picture of Bailey underneath her bed. Under her bed, she's got a picture of Bailey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I swear. She looks at it all the time, and she's so excited. And it was so funny because like it was one of those things. I had a spot at the Improv, and it was Christmas. It was Easter. My wife was working at Coachella, and it was like, hey, we're giving you a 9 o'clock spot. And I was like, oh no. So I called you up, and I go, can you guys babysit? So next thing I know, I go, my wife's like, I leave. She's 3 years old. The kid's 3. What do you mean, Scott? No, they're going to babysit. So you come over. So I bring the car over. Immediately, you dump the car seat. It's got like thousands of food comes out, and you're like going like this. And next thing I know, you and my daughter are dancing at church on Easter. So I said it to my dad. I go, "Happy Passover," and it's my dad wrote back like no words. You know, my dad loves you, by the way. And it was just. So, and then she woke up in the morning, and they had an Easter egg hunt, and you guys fixed it so that she would find the eggs, and she comes home.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, where are you performing?
If you're in Vegas, I'm at the Strat this week. Then I'm in St. Louis. Next week I'm in Missouri, somewhere in Missouri, and then I'm in St. Charles in January, and then
It's a lot of airplanes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, listen. Thank you.
Thank you more.
And I will talk to you hopefully soon, my friend.
I'm gonna be in Sarasota in March. So
we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, wait, you're playing at McCurdy's?
Yes.
Oh, we'll be there. Okay, good. All right, man. Thanks, Adam.
Anytime.
Bye.